A season?
Yeah. Yeah, hopefully.
Yep. I think I could like this system more than I currently do because it sounds like a very me thing, but it's hard to get. I think personally, it's hard to get like a lot of people who are all because it's a weird game. It's an unusual game. People are more used to D&D and Pathfinder, where there's like more rules and like the ad lib comes as an afterthought instead of the first thing you do. So like I've found it hard to play Blade and enjoy it because it's like you gotta get everybody on board first. And like you can think you're on board and then some days you're not. It's just
Yeah,
because
I
I've definitely
agree.
had those days. Oh,
I
sorry,
feel
Christopher.
like if the system did a little bit more to prompt like the creative aspect of it, I think it would be better.
Yeah. What do you mean when you say prompt? Like what would you put in there if it was you running? Yes. Great.
I don't totally know. Like if it asked like leading questions instead of like having it upon us to potentially ask all those questions.
Yeah. Cuz because I do feel like sometimes the players make the whole story if I feel like if that were the case then maybe we don't have a GM, maybe we are all the keepers of the rules. Like it feels like it's a weird game to have someone quote unquote in charge of. Because if it's like because then is it uh the GM story or the player story, and if it is the player story, then maybe the players need to be doing more of the work. But like, I don't know how you would indicate that. Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah. Mm-hmm.
There's also, for me, just being so unfamiliar with the type of world. Yes, I only have a little bit of experience since I've watched like playthroughs of Dishonored, but like that's only vaguely similar to this.
Hmm. I mean, I like what Noble was saying a little bit earlier, and this is totally me poking on Noble, but you can do it when you have brains to be both draw and talk. I don't know how that works for you.
Wait, come again?
The stuff you were talking about earlier, where I don't think you fully finished your thought before Sam started streaming, but like your opinions on the rules and stuff.
I don't. I don't remember what I was saying.
Shoot.
Let me. Oh, it was. Oh, God damn! What was it about? All right. I'm hanging.
Oh.
All right. So first of all, it's obviously very different to Dungeons and Dragons, and I come from Dungeons and Dragons, right? So
Mm-hmm.
whereas we were talking about the fact that it's a yes mother kind of thing, like the mother has to accept that the child
Oh yeah.
and the thing.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. So D&D being a because kind of the I'm not sure if it's the opposite, because usually in D&D the DM tells you what you can do, right? Like what you have to roll. Usually, sometimes the players can like ask if they can do something else, maybe convince. Depends on the DM. Maybe they want to be convinced or coaxed into using something different. But usually it goes the DM just tells you to roll athletics. Do this. You have to do this in order to be able to do whatever else you're trying to do, right? The DM tells you what to do,
Mm-hmm.
but in Blades, it's supposed to be the other way around, right? The player is supposed to say what they want to do and what they
Mm-hmm.
want to use, what they want to roll for to do that, like the skill or whatever it is that we're supposed to call them in Blades. And then
Mm-hmm.
that was the issue that it does kind of fall a little bit into the may I, because in the end you're asking the DM if that makes sense or if that works.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe it could be just us pitfalling us into asking and the DM having to accept. It reminds me a lot of when I was running Helianas, which is D&D. In
Mm-hmm.
Helianas, the system that they set up for doing tracking rolls was the player. It was like a skill check, like a skill. What did we call them? Skill contests or skill challenges, right? So it was like a skill challenge. The player would suggest what they want to use, the skill that they want to use, and the action that they are taking in order to track. And me as a DM, rather than telling them if that's possible or not, I just told them like an idea of the difficulty that they are of what they are doing is. So I don't remember exactly, but it was like 3 or 4 different levels, which was something that is like basic, like normal, like it's obvious. Like if someone tells you like I want just to like track some tracks that the creatures that we're tracking left. That's something simple. That's basic. That's obvious. So that was like a easy level, like DC 10 or something like that, right? But then if they tell you something like, I want to smell the smells that they left behind, kind of like if I'm a witcher or something like that, that's a little bit harder. You need more skill to do that, so that would be like a skill check. Like it's a little bit harder, like DC 15 or something. And
That
it was
is
the go ahead.
that is basically kind of what they have in like the DM's guides or stuff like that. That's kind of behind
Hmm.
the scenes. Like
Yep.
they have that type of information, but
Yeah, when you're like setting DCs on the fly, right?
yeah,
And like the maximum difficulty that you could get would be like an outlandish thing, like basically you're just rolling fortune for the player because
Mm,
they're saying something like I'm gonna commune with my ancestors and they're gonna give me the answer to cracking this beast. So you're just like there's like DC 30. We're just gonna roll a fortune roll and see if you're gonna make it or not.
yeah,
But in the
it's
end,
just
that
like
was
pure
like
luck.
yeah, that was like this is what you have to do for tracking. You try not to set like just DCs for the player and see if they can make it. Just let them make up stuff on the fly, and you are the judge of how that works. But you're not telling them if that works or not. Like if they want to do that, go ahead and let them do it. You're just there to be the judge of how much it works, like how effective it is. So I
Mm.
think that's what we should be doing, Blades. That's what I believe. So if we pitfall ourselves into being the may I and being like, no, that's not like, that's not how it. Like that's fine when we're learning. I think that we should do that when we're learning, so we get a better idea. But at the same time, we're literally pitfalling us into the may I trope. So that's what I
Hmm.
think. Well, that was a
Yeah, and it's
very
hard
long
to get
talk.
out of those like habits of like DM, can I run in and help my friend? No, you're like 3 rounds behind in combat, blah blah blah.
Yeah,
Stuff that we get used to playing other games.
yeah, it is true. Hmm.
Mm.
Well, I mean, I'm gonna stay painting. So and general feelings of Blades, I'm liking it. I think it's well, not very, it's simpler than D&D. It's a very, I don't know how to express it. I'm having trouble expressing my general feeling of the system with whoever I'm speaking to. I just feel like it's very complete, like it's very self-sufficient. D&D
Mm.
sometimes can get very messy, like doing a lot of things at the same time, or getting into a lot of different like subsystems inside of D&D, and I feel like
Okay.
Blades doesn't have that. Like Blades it has like a clean cycle of the stuff that you're doing. You're either on the score, you're free playing, or you're uh, down timing, or you're just messing around and chatting with your fellow players. I think that's what I personally like about Blades, that it's very straightforward. I know what I'm doing. Sometimes in D&D I can feel lost. Like, what are we doing now? Are we chasing the BBG? Are we chasing are we doing this other side quest? Are we gonna just role play a bit of it? And sometimes like you can get lost on what you're doing, which actually happens to us a lot. I think at least in
Mm,
EOB, it used to happen a lot that we would get like sidetracked by a lot of stuff, a
Oh,
whole
so
lot of
much.
stuff.
Everything's
yeah,
all this.
the
Mhm.
one main strength of this is how episodic it is, so it keeps us on task.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah, that is nice.
Hello. As a funny note, we tried me streaming what I'm doing directly, and we're not sure if that's what caused it or if it was something else, but my whole internet just blew up. Yeah. So we're not trying that
It's
again.
funny.
It was funny for you guys.
Yeah.
We killed it because it was my idea.
Friends that murder together stay together. Hi. I am a problem, and I'm okay with this.
Going through into the stream because I had it set for the wrong mic. That's real sad. Aversive Tactics, I did give your comments to the group. Just streamer things.
Yep.
But I heard you guys. That was the important part because you guys were doing most of the talking. The only thing I'd
And
really
we heard you.
Yeah, and you guys heard me. Yeah, no, it was just it's hard finding the balance on as a GM. And something that I'd said I think before like we got started on streaming is that there's no real way to give setting information to you guys unless either A, I rewrite everything, or B, you guys read all the faction descriptions in the quote rule book, which has like quote unquote spoilers. But also then that makes it even harder to like adapt to
Making shit up.
right. And that to me is the issue at the core of Blades for me is that the system, the engine works great. And I love the setting, but I don't know if they work well together. Unless you know the setting like the back of your hand, but because it's not made on a like it's not based on like an IP or something that like people know, like doing this like Adventures in Middle Earth, where it's like, okay, there are ways you can immerse yourself in it. This is like, well, you immerse yourself in Victorian things, but then there's also other things, and then yeah, and
And we're
then
just asking so many questions that just don't really, that kind of take us out of any immersion we might have.
True.
and yeah, I mean some of it is, I mean this is chat again, but like detoxing from the hand holding and D20 systems, there's that like, but it's the combo of both, I think, because I'm still learning stuff about the system or the setting, or things will be in like, here's like the supplement someone made, which again, you don't have to use all of those, but when you go on the subreddit or you go on the Discord or you're trying to like kind of get more information, the answer is always either, well, it's in this like weird supplement somewhere, or, well, that's the great thing, you just make it up. And I'm like, okay, but then I'll make it up and then find an obscure rule on page, 256 or whatever, and be like, oops.
Yeah. I think if we ran Blades in like a thing I was blah 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 familiar with, I would have run off like screaming. Like it's a aha, I know how this works. Like if it was leverage, like just straight up leverage, it's like I know who the players are. I know what we're doing here. Don't mind me and my big butt doing whatever it is I want.
Yeah, like definitely, like take the system and put it in a setting that we are more familiar with, love, and know. Like, I feel like it would be a lot easier for us to get into it. At least for myself, definitely me.
Yeah, because I feel like we did a lot of the Blades like stuff in other D&D settings, and like we did stuff like we do like Blades is expecting us to do in AIM when we played it years ago. We do it
Mhm.
still in like we do it in Pathfinder a little bit, like where it's like, no, Sam, I'm gonna tell you that my bard just glitter bombed a terrorist. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I mean and I think some of that's also just the way like Scott and I run games. I think can sometimes be a bit more permissive in general. I mean, we have our rule of like just bullshit us, like make it like
Hmm.
convince me, and as long as it's not stepping on another class's toes or like doing anything like that, I don't see a problem with allowing it. But that does also mean that in some ways that might be harder to like detox out of because it's closer to what we're used to doing, but also different.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's fair.
Also, we do have a question in chat, which I will throw out when we've got like a lull. But if we're still going, that's cool.
It's like I think if like this was potentially like a collaborative world building project for like the GM and the players, like the GM is still like the rules and like the maybe hardline yes or no if need be, but it was still like a collaborative world where we do make everything up. I think that would
Like
be
the kids
kind of
on
interesting.
bikes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like something like that would probably be a bit easier too. So for me, I guess most of my issue, I guess, comes from the setting, which is not a bad setting, of course. Very interesting setting. I like it, but my unfamiliarity with it is my own problem.
Yeah, there's definitely a. For me, it's hard to like executive function maintain both being like lore keeper and rule keeper.
Hmm.
And so some of that, I mean, some of that will say like this is definitely one of those games that assumes that the players are going to be pouring through the material, and really knowing it in a way that like we don't sometimes necessarily do, where it's more the like we've gotten more with Pathfinder because there's no way for me to know like your guys' classes in Sandpoint. There's way too much stuff.
Hmm.
But like there's a lot more of like I don't know, can you? Because I'm trying to like adjudicate one thing and then it's well now I need to look up the specific rule and because it's not set up the best way possible. There's the question of how do we um yeah, like where do I find it in the book?
Hmm.
Yeah. But I'm gonna say this before I forget it, Sam.
Yeah.
I would eat the shit out of a Blades in the Dark, but you're smugglers from Star Wars?
That is called
Because
Scum and
that would be
Villainy.
the shit. Oh, there's a thing already.
There is a thing already, and if you guys want to try that after this, it is not. It is in a different universe, and honestly, mechanics in some ways are a bit more like Firefly. But if we want to just say screw it and like I'll just make the factions and do a Star Wars thing or a Firefly, like one of closer to those things, we could do that. Like as another season, that's fine. But yeah, no, Scum and
Yeah.
Villainy. I have the book right here. Um, it's just like I said, I love the setting of Blade so much. I love the system. I just don't necessarily love them together. And I also don't love how, for some reason, Discord reactive images just keeps refreshing on me constantly. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, that's a lot of my things. Now I am going to throw out this question, um, which was, were we expecting it to be easy in the sense of Versus Tactics says, I know I did when I started, and I was surprised at how hard it was to break out of the I want to roll perception stuff. So I guess that's a good question. Like, what did you guys like? What were your thoughts going into the system, and did it match?
Hmm.
Hmm.
Personally, I told you after I already joined the game, but I did. Oh, it's sending a message, but um, I did tell you that Blades is like I don't know the word, but Blades asks of me exactly what I think are my weaknesses, or I think it asks of me what I think are my weaknesses when in tabletop RPGs, which is role playing, improvising, and just generally talking, like uh, talking with the other players and like it's role playing in general with them, asking questions, stuff like that. And I feel like Blades, that's what you gotta do. You gotta talk a lot, you gotta improv a lot, you gotta improvise all the time. So for me, I was aware that it was gonna be a struggle. Like I already knew I was gonna struggle, so I came into the game knowing that it was gonna be hard. And I think that mentality helped me make it easier for me, like easing into the system and fun. Like I am having fun. It is, a little bit stressing. It is hard because we're not used to it. Like, yeah, we've mentioned several times we're detoxing off of D&D, but yeah, it is hard. I was expecting it to be like that. I think I'm derailing from the question a little bit, but it is
No, that's
hard.
the question.
Um, and I was expecting it, and I think the fact that I was expecting it is helping me make it easier. Make it better, make it more fun for me.
Yeah, because I was expecting the opposite. I do LARP. I'm a big fat nerd. I do LARP, and so I'm kind of used to going up to my storytellers and saying dumb shit, and them going no, and me going okay, and think of something else. Um, I think because I was expecting it to be easier for me, it wasn't, and I was like, I hate this. Why is it hard? Man. And so
And
I'm kind of sad that I was like cocky about it and then like made my own time miserable.
mm, alas, the consequences of my quinces.
Yep.
And for me, I guess I don't have a lot of system experience as far as other ones outside of D&D and now Pathfinder, so I didn't really come in with any expectations, so I suppose it does make it harder for me that way. And I would definitely say I still have not really adjusted to it.
That's fair.
But are we having fun?
Yeah, I would definitely say I am enjoying the world and how we have been able to experience it. Definitely, we've really only experienced our own little section of it because we are very focused on uh, what our crew is doing and is interested in. So we don't have a lot of broadness to what we're doing.
True. But isn't it like part of the game? Like, I mean, the game asks you to like set up a thing that your gang, your crew does, like we're smugglers. So I feel like
Mhm.
it already is like the game itself is like just trying to make you do the thing. I don't know.
Yeah, I think there's a bit of the game, like the game asks us to do it, and then we struggled to do it a little bit, and it's taken a bit getting into it. But one of the things I noticed, and because people ask these questions, apologies, there are cicadas in the background. It's the time of year where bugs scream. Uh, it's something where the game is almost designed for improv players or people who are very good and confident in yes anding and can be very difficult if you come at it from any other perspective.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Because somebody asked about that on the subreddit recently, and a lot of the comments were either talking about Listen to Glass Cannon or like these other actual plays that, again, improv people, or there was a really, I'm not going to call this person out, a very awkward kind of whatever comment where it's like, well, if you look at the original players, like they don't even really need a GM. They just get it. Like, they're just so good. And I'm like, well, yes, but also no, because I think it comes down to what you were saying about it being, if it were a collaborative world building exercise with all of us, and I feel like John Harper's original table, that's exactly what it was.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas we're now coming in, like, sometimes I feel like I'm J.J. Abrams trying to do The Force Awakens, but having never watched Star Wars, which honestly isn't probably that different from how he actually did it. But where it's kind of like I am hyper aware of the things I don't know that I feel like I should. And then when I try to look it up, it basically says, "Oh, you're not supposed to know that," or "Oh, you just make it up." Like that's the I miss the community support that things like Curse of Strahd, or I know Pathfinder Season of Ghosts, which I haven't looked at 'cause Scott's gonna run. Like there are community supports and expansions, and if you're like, well, I don't really know what all to do in Barovia, somebody's got it covered. Somebody's made something.
Mm-hmm.
And when I look up the stuff for Blades, it's either people making their own Forged in the Dark game, which is great, or here are example scores. I don't need more scores for you guys. I can make scores for days, which might be why there's
Yeah.
so many out there. Like, what I need are handy ways to give out the lore. I did find one person, I believe it was on Reddit, a consistent tie, and then a whole bunch of numbers. But they're the one that did some of the symbols and icons and stuff that I use on newspapers. And they had a PSD file of their little section of Crowsfoot where the players had filled in all these different businesses, kind of like, we created the Weave and like these places. And I was like, oh, this is real handy. I'm getting a feel for that. And I wish there was more of that in Blades, but I feel like when people in the community try to share it, the response is always, we'll just make it up.
Mm.
And I'm
Yeah.
like, but it also says work with your players, and having more stuff to be like, guys, you need to read this. That's not just here's a faction listing, here's their turf, their hideout, their secrets, their plans, but here's just a business, or like here's a, player facing faction document, or that's more than just like the little like one sentence blurb. That would be real handy for me.
Honestly, if people just went over the map and like found a building and said, this building, whatever it is run by Bob, that would be way easier as a player to be like, okay, Bob sells shoes now because I think that's funny or
Like, just
whatever.
give a basis, a jumping off point for people.
Something. Because empty is real hard to work with sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's the
Funny
whole.
because
Oh, go ahead.
I think I agree that empty most of the times, well, it's empty, so you gotta make up something on the spot, right? But also when you give players a lot of options, they can also choke on all of the options that they have. Um, so it's a fine balance, right, between not empty and also don't give them a lot.
Yeah.
Well, I think some of it is giving guidance. Like, and that's where, because like all the crew generation, like the questions I asked at the beginning of the session, those are ones that like I made and found not in Blades but other places and put together. And it's like those are handy because it's not just you guys need to. Oh, I need to buy this potion. Now I'm going to make an alchemy shop. Now I'm going to like do all of that. It's the like, okay, well, what's a place that everyone knows not to go? Like, there's a guidance on the open-ended question. Like,
Yeah.
it's the preschooler thing, which I know Jenna's like worked with kids, where it's the like, do you want to wear the stripes or the polka dots today, versus what do you want to wear today?
Yeah, agree.
Especially if you're detoxing or starting out or whatever, because it is daunting to go from this is your little box and everybody tells you what to do, very much like kids growing up, to all right, now this is all yours, figure it out, and you're just like, ah.
Like going from high school to college, like how structured it is
Yeah.
versus the freeformness of you can do whatever the fuck you want technically.
Like it's
God,
like
I love college.
the long running joke of like when you get there, it's like there are still people asking if they go to the bathroom, and the professor. I had undergrad students kind of like ask me that. And I'm like, I do not care. You can get up and walk out of this classroom if you want
Just
to.
don't make a big deal of it. You're fine.
Right. It's like I'm more annoyed that you disrupted class to ask that question because we were in the middle of a great discussion. Oh, hi Remy. Bye Remy. We had a dog run through. But yeah,
You
it's
know what I did in college? I played video games and didn't do my homework. That's what I did.
Valid.
I
That was high school for me.
did theater.
My high school was World of Warcraft.
Nice.
That dude, no, that makes so much sense now.
I
Edginess. Not me calling you out or anything. Promise.
Do it. We'll turn this into a rumble.
There's fucking just so, especially Ghost Eater, who's like so edgy and definitely gonna get possessed within like 2 minutes.
Oh, already.
You already
done.
did.
Yeah, I know. I was told, and it was no surprise that thing when your friend does a thing and you're like, ah, yes, I am unsurprised. Give
Like
me
I
cake. I'm
expected
gonna eat
this.
it. Uh huh.
He wanted it. I wouldn't be surprised if he asked Sam on like on a direct message, like, "Yes, please get me possessed."
We were very upfront about
Oh,
this definitely being a thing that is probably going to happen.
Yeah, so I like here okay, here's some like background, like behind the scenes stuff. Is I definitely messaged Christopher some things that was like, so here are the rules on possession. Like you're gonna lose this character. Like this is gonna be a problem. And he was like, okie dokie, which like I'm gonna come back around to that point in a second, actually. But we've actually been talking about now. I'm working on a little bit of like custom home brewing kind of stuff, so Ghost Eater can continue but have like the consequences and roll into some of the like Unquiet Dead playbooks and stuff like that. So there's a thing. Um, but it is one of those. I think setting up the crew type is helpful in that like it does the like this is the score that we're doing, but it doesn't necessarily do this is the like this is who we are. And I think our group started out a little almost like too diverse in that aspect. But that's I don't think a Blades problem. I think that's a lot of TTRPGs where people will it's like, okay, well, this is our character. Or like this is our crew, this is the party, and this is our goal. That's fine. But my character's gonna go off and do this thing because I think it's cool. And it's like in Blades, because it's so open, that can be a problem. Because yeah, you can do it, but now like you're losing a character or like it's not furthering like the group goal or because like we've got because Scott's talked to me, I was hoping to be here, but like Scott's talked to me about how Dreamer's background is a bit like more upper class and trying to get it to fit in with like the rest of Grave Dust and how on paper it all looks good, but then in actuality it's like it becomes hard to lean into being your heritage and your background, expressing all that and doing the XP thing and doing that while also being authentic to like the group dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, that's what half of RPG horror stories are about, like that guy. So, I mean, this isn't a Blades thing. And I'm not necessarily calling anyone at this table a that guy. I'm just saying there's like a high risk factor there.
Mm. Yeah.
That's exactly what I was thinking when I was making the second character. That does this character? I guess I also thought about that when I was making Firebugs, but when I was making the second one, it was a lot more apparent because like he doesn't fit at all. He doesn't. He hasn't. He has nothing to do with ghosts. I still haven't decided his special ability. I'm torn between the ghost veil thingy, I think it's called, which makes sense for the crew because ghosts, or just going for reflexes, which makes sense for like a bandit kind of thing, like a desperado kind of thing, uh, which does not fit with the group.
Well,
But also, if we're going into war, like this guy's just coming in as muscle, so
right. Well,
like he
that's what I was
doesn't really need to fit into the crew, right?
because I was saying because you guys are at war right now, so like that is the thing, and there is the flexibility because characters are so easy to put together that you can have like a stable of characters to rotate around. Like that can be a thing, but that does mean having to make more characters, and that's why like we now have so Noble is not stressing out a generic like mask man token that we can use. So there's not the stress of like, oh no, I don't have a token for this character. Yeah, you do. It's just this dude. Um, kind of like our version of the Foundry, like generic, no picture here. But it looks so much better because Noble did it. But
Yay.
yeah, that's the like the big thing there. Um, because like the crew is the main thing, but I also think it's I always make the Stephen King reference like all things serve the beam or all things follow the beam. Like it all needs to go into like that's what the crew's doing, even more so than like in a party, like a Pathfinder or D&D or something where there's typically more like this is the module, this is the quest we're doing, this is whatever. It's super easy to derail. Um, which goes back to that whole it's almost written for either collaborative world builders who know exactly what they're wanting all together collectively, or people with improv and like theater training. I don't want to say oh because they're good actors, but because of the like this is about ultimately serving the goal of the production or serving the goal of the crew rather than this is what I want to get out of this character.
Mm.
And like that can it's a mindset difference, but it's also you're playing the character, so you do want to get out what you want from the like. I'm not saying that's a bad thing either.
Definitely a balance, and it's definitely all balances are hard balances. Someone who does ballet, if you have to balance, it's hard. End of story. That's just it.
Hopefully, you don't feel like called out, Christopher. I did not mean to take that turn.
What?
Okay.
No.
He's
You're
like,
good.
you weren't talking about me at all. Okay, I see. No, like it's that's been like an issue. Yeah. So in chat, like it's like not being a selfish player, and I think it can be easy to fall into that, especially in playing something like Pathfinder, where you are your character's like that is your specialty, is what your character can do, because you can only hold so much Pathfinder in your head. Versus like here, it's the like more how do I set up something for somebody else,
Yeah.
and it's almost playing the opposite because your characters are scoundrels in Duskfall and selfish and dicks and whatever, but very specifically, players have to be the opposite, and that can be difficult to balance because it's how do I make like I'm gonna use Dreamer as an example. Scott's not here, but like whatevs. I'm gonna use Dreamer as an example. But like, how can Scott make Dreamer care about the Scav resistance? when he's this Akarosi noble-born artist. Well,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look at like the French Revolution and like artists joining. Like there are ways to do it, and that's something I know he and I have talked about. So there's that like behind the scenes calculation of going beyond like it's not what my character would do, it's what my character could do. And that's not explicit in even in like their players best practices section. I'm going to pull that up. It's not explicitly there. It is, but it isn't.
And for a game that is so very everything has its place and everything in its place kind of a game, that's weird to not have something like that explicitly like this, you know?
Yeah, so like the headings for the players best practices are embrace the scoundrel's life, go into danger, fall in love with trouble, don't be a weasel, take responsibility, use your stress, don't talk yourself out of fun, and build your character through play. Oh, sorry, and then act now, plan later. And I'm like, where in any of this, beyond possibly take responsibility, does any of the collaborative part fit in? But then you turn to the GM best practices, and it's 100%, lead interesting conversations, create this atmosphere, help players use the game, don't block what they want to do. Um, like all of like very much a collaborative thing. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, but like the GM's one person, the players are everyone else.
Yeah.
And I think, and it might be because of when this came out, because it's a criticism I have about more modern games in reaction to the sort of grognardy, like, I'm going to show you exactly what happens to your character, and no, you can't play anything, and like, how dare you play, orcs as anything but like dumb barbarians, or what, like, whatever, insert straw man, whatever people have here. Where it then became the GM is here to facilitate the player's fun,
Mm-hmm.
but not the group's fun. The like player, like individuals.
Oh.
And the problem is one person's fun is another person's misery.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm. Especially if you're encouraging those players to be jackasses.
Right, that take risks. Don't be afraid of stress. Don't be afraid of this. Um,
Yeah.
and so yeah, like there's the again, it goes back into the in the beginning, like this is who we are, this is what we want to do. And I think so when we made Odyssey, because we kind of had issues with that when we made our original characters for Odyssey, the Dragon Lords. Scott was very, very explicit on like what is your theme and who are you. And if I remember correctly, Christopher, we were essentially like morally gray assholes who want the quote unquote greater, like want to make leave the world a better place than we found it for people.
Hmm.
And I think we've stuck with that. And I think Jen, like when you came in, I think that's still the party we had, even though it's been like over a year.
I would
Yeah.
definitely say
I would.
so as well, and it
Yeah.
definitely helps that it helps that our mission is what it is, essentially. Like, Scott was able to give us enough of a preface that we were able to decide what we wanted, and it actually basically has fit so well with how the story has gone for us.
Yeah. And like, so morally gray assholes was also the theme for Vidari, but we didn't
Mhm.
have really a greater purpose for that, and
Yeah.
that did kind of die. We all kind of just kept. I kept one upping myself. I'm gonna say that, because
Yeah.
that was true. Until it was crazy and not fun
Well,
for
and then you
anybody,
reign
including
Bisvar,
myself.
and he's now our favorite. We all talk about him because like where Bisvar, like it was one of those where you landed with Bisvar was great, but like
Hmm.
yeah, So I think, and that was something I tried to do with like set goals for the season. And I know we've done um, the what was it like to establish the broke or to vanquish the brokeback goats, et cetera, et cetera. And some of that is like I made the mistake. Like this is on me in the sense that like the scores I kind of threw out there might have like they were big and didn't necessarily fit towards that goal. And I didn't necessarily communicate like you guys don't have to do any of it. Like here are just these options because again, I think it's the D&D or Pathfinder thinking of like, well, like what are the quests? What's on the quest board versus we make our own quests. Because I think our most successful session was the understudies one, where it was a small goal. Get the blue coats uniforms, but it was in direct service to our your guys' essentially like faction clocks, like getting rid of the brokeback goats. And then the session that came after that, this most recent session, also benefited because again, it was a very clear like this is our goal. And I think I did what I give I would sometimes say to Scott about Vidari, where it's the like we keep getting sidetracked on side quests, so stop giving us potential side quests. And then he'd give us potential side quests, and then we'd take them, and then he'd be like, "Why are you taking the side quests?" And like I think I did that with some of the scores, where I was more trying to be like, "Well, this is stuff happening in the world," but it was getting picked up as these are things you need to do.
Which I think definitely goes hand in hand with the Mother May I / our own thoughts, because like when you present like, oh, here are things that you can do, and we didn't really have anything to say like, oh, can I do this instead, because we're still stuck in the whole, well, you just gave us our quests.
Right. Whereas like the last one, which like I will credit where credit's due, our most successful score to date was given to us by chat, by Aversive Tactics, I believe, which was stealing the thing from somebody else.
Thank you.
But that was also because I didn't think about it. Like it wasn't something I sat and crafted and was like, oh, this would be cool. It was like I saw that and then looked down at the list of factions and was like, what can I pull up in the time it takes for these people to finish what they're saying, so I have something. And so
I
it
think it's
had
a
to be simple.
combination.
Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, that was
No, no, no.
that
Go
was
ahead.
the end of mine. Was just that.
Okay, so I think it's a combination of what you said, and also the fact that since we are kind of, building it ourselves. Well, first of all, that we already that done a couple of scores, so we were getting used to it. That we were getting to know the rules better, and the fact that we have to do the stuff, not the DM, and the fact that we, or at least maybe we didn't make the score, but we at least felt like we were coming up with the ideas, maybe like the illusion of choice, that we came or went into the score like with the mentality of we are doing this, not Sam. Like we are the ones coming up with the idea, so we have to do this. That's my feeling, or how I felt when we went to the second part. And I did watch, since I didn't participate in understudies. I watched the stream, and I agree that that was a lot of fun. That was an amazing score. I especially love when Scott just derailed or Scott's character derailed and left to gamble on your weird to move annihilation mini game. That was a lot of fun. That was amazing. I think that is the embodiment of Blake's for me.
Speaking of that, we do have a Scott. I have streamer mode on my Discord, so I don't hear when people jump into voice chat. So if you've been lurking there for a while, Scott, my apologies.
What, like 2 minutes?
Okay.
Speak of the devil.
It's just one of those like as like I avoid talk like as I ignore my own partner. Like, oops.
No, you could. I could have jumped in and been like, hey, I'm here. I decided to lurk until people
Yeah.
noticed. But yeah, I did enjoy just being a chaos gremlin once.
Just once?
And
You sure?
I don't do it often. So
Fair.
I think you did a great job. Apparently, now I'm a chaos gremlin, and I didn't know it.
you've always been a chaos gremlin.
See,
I
Noble,
I
you're not
didn't
a
know
chaos.
Yeah.
You're not a chaos gremlin. Like, I think like you're okay. Jen's the chaos gremlin, like the pure chaos gremlin.
Ah.
I think Noble, you and Scott enjoy pushing, and Cody enjoy pushing the button, but like you think about it.
in a constructive way.
Yeah, the
That's what she
difference
said.
between like me and y'all is I will see button and just go bop. You guys will go, this could be bad. It's like
Fair.
button bop versus this could be bad. I choose to push it anyway. So like self control versus funny, pretty. Yeah, because a lot of times in games I'm like, ooh, shiny.
Fair. Very fair.
And that's probably the best kind of chaos that you can be, is thoughtful chaos. There's a lot of times in just like TTRPGs in general, the fun bits are the failures. Or could be, if you play them that way. Like, maybe not necessarily, but like they could be. You don't know. You haven't tried to fail yet. So I like you and Scott being like, would this be fun? Like, would this add something? Would it be good to push this button right now? And then a lot of times it is gambling.
Fair. I still don't think I'm much of a. I don't know. I don't know. It's hard to judge myself playing, right? I just do what I want or what I think I want.
To do be that.
Yeah. So Scott, I don't know if you were like listening in before hopping in, but what are your thoughts on Blades, or if you want to weigh in, or if you're still formulating, that's fine.
um, mm, I was not listening in before I was able to get into this. Blades. All right, Blades is a tricky game. I think I caught bits and pieces a little bit when I was first listening that kind of sum up a lot of similar thoughts where it's or maybe I'm catching this a little bit from the chat questions and conversation. But it's very. I think you need to familiarize with it unless you're a bunch of improv people to begin with, and you kind of have to have like a like a strong group of people that like are really on the same page. Like it's very easy to say that we're on the same page as it. Like yeah, we all want to do X, but we're all interpreting X to be different things, and so I think um like I don't know, like that the random chaos of the police station and all that. Like as players, we also be very synced up on that. Whereas I definitely think we kind of ran into some back and forth, and so I think my thoughts on Blades is it's very dependent on like player group more so than a lot of other games. All games have this, but not as like to me. It's because of how make it up as you go. Like you wanna be able to kind of anticipate what people are going to possibly think of in a way. Weirdly enough, like are we in the same headspace? I don't know. That's
Yeah.
it's a bunch of word jumbo, but it's what I got.
Yeah, I do want to highlight chat pointing out there's a difference between chaos and like free/disinhibited, and saying like Noble is describing like disinhibited, and I think that is correct. Where it's you're
Hmm.
not talking yourself out of something because you're worried about, oh no, this might have stressful consequences. It's I have weighed the consequences, um, and
And
that
I have
is
found them paltry to the reward.
like in a way, or like it's worth it. And okay, this is the all right. Another observation, but agreed. Um, as a listener, the B team session, the crew was the main character, and that's why it worked. And I want to ask you guys if like what you think about that.
Uh,
Wait, what
I
was that?
It's the most recent comment in chat. As a listener, the B team session, the crew was the main character, and that's why it worked.
Who is the main character?
Es-
Hmm.
Essentially, because you guys are the understudies, and it was like we're serving grave dust because we want to get into it.
Mm.
Hmm.
I don't know.
yeah
I'm
that
throwing that
Yeah,
out there for discussion.
yeah, I get it. Like they were, I don't know. Like they went into the game with the mentality that this was about like completely about what the crew was doing, basically.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
mean that's like the general idea of the game, where the crew is the main character. But like, I think I kind of get what they're trying to say. Like they were more focused on they trying to succeed because their image. I'm not sure. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, they're agreeing with you. You did it. You summed it up.
Okay.
So yeah, that's what you got from it. So for Chris and Scott, who both played in that versus like main grave dust, I'm curious your thoughts.
no, that's exactly what I was gonna say. Like we were just kind of like we're just here to do the thing, and there's less attachment to quotation marks attachment to said character.
Mm.
Agreed, because it felt a lot easier when the scope itself was smaller. Like our scope, our goal is essentially grave dust. Like that versus as the more as versus like the more original bigger members of grave dust, their scope is far wider.
Mm.
Well, like there's a I would ask the question of is the scope wider though, or like are we? And like I said, some of it might be because I gave you guys those suggested arcs that were bigger. But I mean, looking at what I have for your like faction clock notes, it's topple the goats, establish yourselves. That's
Mm-hmm.
it. And it's
And
not
maybe
about
that's just all that the B team was. Like that was their goals.
right. And I think that's the way a way Blades is designed to be, where we built, even though like we were cognizant of how we're supposed to build scoundrels and how we're supposed to do that, we still did more of a TTRPG, like here's my backstory, here's this, here's that, this is my
Mm-hmm.
character's arc, this is what they like to do, versus intentionally making archetypes and then filling it in later, because that is in the hang on, the player's best practices. Let me get to it. Um, where it talks about specifically doing, building your character through play. So, um, in Blade, your character begins as a simple sketch. You only have a few sparse details. You're a scoundrel. Maybe you used to be a noble or a laborer. Or you're from Aruvia. You tend to skirmish and command people. We don't know, and we don't yet need to know who you really are. In Blade's, character creation lasts for the whole series of play. And I think that was the part. I think we were so busy trying to detox the mechanics, we forgot that part.
Mhm.
Yeah, that would make
Very
sense.
accurate.
Because I did see a lot of people like working on their characters, and I felt really far behind. And so when it was like, oh, describe you and what you're doing and like whatever, whatever, I was like, because
Right, and I
I
think you
wasn't
had the
sure.
best, like, because what I was expecting was more of just the, like, oh, my character is, a spider who paints. Sorry, I just used streamer. I was looking at you. Um, rather than like a detailed thing. And this is something that I think is interesting because I had done the by putting in the deep cuts, like here's more background information that I'd given to you guys. To me, that helps me get a better feel for the the setting, but it might have signaled more detail to the characters than there needed to be because you're essentially wanting to play an archetype in the
Really?
beginning. I don't know. Like, and it might be different for people.
Yeah.
Like I just pulled everything out of my ass in that moment. I didn't plan anything. I just fell on
Right.
the spot and like started like just
Some
shouting.
people sketch
I
that
mean,
stuff out way
that's
ahead of time,
also
but
why I could argue that Firebox is probably a better character than Ghost Eater. I mean,
Why?
just because you are a bit more focused on the group slash, like, yes, you have your trains and all that, but you care definitely a little bit more about the group itself, at least from my perspective.
Hmm. I mean, I did think about how Firebox would fit into the group. In general, I do still think about how Firebox fits into Blades in the Dark because I think I made him a little bit too like um happy-go-looking, like just trains and blow shit up and like I don't know.
I
I
mean,
think
every group
I screwed
has
that up, but
like I mean, I think every group has like some people like in order to fit like a dark setting, you don't have to be like grim all the time. Like that's a common misconception. Um, I mean, I'm gonna say A Song of Ice and Fire is not grimdark the way people talk about. By the way, chat is just going on and on about how they love Firebox. I'm just throwing that out there. I'm not reading. I should have put chat up on the screen for this. I'm not figuring it out now. But just for the record, for people rewatching or watching on YouTube, like there you go. But and I lost my train of thought. I'll get it back in a second. Also, I'm about to be mauled by a dog, and by that I mean mauled with love. Um, yeah. So, A Song of Ice and Fire, like it's not. I mean, some people say it's grimdark. Like I don't think it's like grimdark. But when you think of like what are the scenes or the things that people um, are like remember, and most of the scenes that people talk about are the ones with humor, aren't the ones or like the characters people like okay, so this for people who don't like Song of Ice and Fire, this means nothing. But for people who do, the Hound is broody McBroody boy. But what is the one thing that like people quote all two things people quote all the time? One is what the fuck's salami, and the other one is the chicken thing. They're both hilarious. Like you need that in order to have the dark.
Yeah.
So like it I don't think Firebox is a bad fit for like Duskfall in general. Like I think you fit really well. Like I don't think any of the characters themselves are bad fit for for the setting. It just then
But
becomes
for
the
the
crew.
party, yeah.
Right. And that's less a this is their personality and more a are all
This is what
things
made me
serving
play.
the crew.
Hmm.
And I think it's
okay.
the and Firebox does. I mean, even if because again, kind of like we all loved when Smasher was like, I'm going to fuck off, leave this entire quest and go gamble. That's not for the crew, but it's also not not for the crew, if that makes like it's not derailing or something. It's not like I'm going to turn the crew into the cops. Like, yeah.
I feel like that was like for him, but also inside of what the game like expects of you, like the boundaries of what you're
Yeah.
supposed to do.
It's like what
So it fits.
the game wanted him to do that because that is like how Like
Yeah, you
one of the
struggle
ways
with
that you
vice.
could get XP. Yeah,
Right, you struggle with
that's
vice. Like that's part of it. Like, and I think that's the, and I think some vice is difficult. Yeah, so chatting and helps them seem like a real person, and it's one of those. It gave some levity, but also gave the sneak team time to shine. Like it gave Wing and Sirocco time to do their thing when Smasher and Lyric were at the filthy pug. So like rather than them just running up and then also jumping in, they had their scene, then you guys have your scene. Because
Yep.
it made it very easy for me as a GM to kind of like cinematography or like editing director on that kind of keep the balance really well because there was the tension of like Lyric is waiting for Smasher. Is Smasher going to come out? Is he going to like what's going on here? Lyric's panicking, so that's what they're doing, and they could jump in any time. But it also gave the tension for you two because the party was split. And that's where we got the cool ass Assassin's Creed jumping out of the ceiling. Well, that's because you fell through the ceiling. But like I think that was like a really good moment. And a similar thing happened in this most recent episode where, two of you guys were talking to the people in the front versus talking to the people in the back. And this time it just happened to work out better because, nobody fell through a ceiling. But there is that. And I think some of the examples they have for vices are harder to lean into than others. And I think, because I know, Scott, you've talked about that with Dreamer. Like, it's difficult, like, mid-score, because you guys aren't hobnobbing with... Like, if you guys were doing scores, like, in the rich people area, there would be people recognizing Dreamer all over the place from, like, always being at the theater and being visible and being known. And that could be a problem. But that can be difficult, whereas, like... Now, I have ideas for Firebox and the trains. Don't you worry, those are coming. Like as not a spoiler, but as a teaser, I mean, there was just a massive amount of like, terrorist activity around trains, and now here's a group of people obsessed with schematics of trains. You're getting investigated, boys. Like that's happening. But like with Ghost Eater, it's the like how do you struggle with that during a score? Like you definitely struggle with it outside away from the crew. Whereas like I feel like with Wing, it could be the like Wing dips out or he's not where he needs to be because it's that obligation and it's like, one of his friends needed him or one of his friends' kids needed him. And like there's that tension. Just going based off of what you did last session. I don't know. But like whereas if it's a vice like an addiction is I think easier to lean into in role play where it's the like a gambling addiction or alcoholism or something where it's like, oh, this person's just going to go to the pub instead. I think that's easier to work in, but yeah. So I think it's like if we do this again or like the next characters, I think, because also I know for both of the people, the main, that you guys have like the main OG character and then a new one for like either the understudies or because Ghost Eater got ghosted. The first characters were very well thought out. The second characters were like Dick Grayson and I punch things, and they
Really?
work better in some ways.
I mean, Blade says that you have to treat the characters like stolen cars. Where like you
Stolen
never know when they're
cars?
gonna just stolen cars. Like you never know when you're gonna it's gonna get stolen back or just I don't know break. I don't know, but that's what it says. That's what the book says that you should treat them like stolen cars.
Very fun.
I know that my second guy, is gonna lean in on a lot of religion and specifically into helping like the poor and people in need. So whenever my idea is that whenever he sees someone like that for any reason is in a position that could help someone or is torturing someone or whatever, he's gonna like lose it. But I am thinking, like how am I gonna get the religion to be? I guess like if I don't make him like a total sellout, I'm not gonna struggle a lot with the bias, which is faith. But I don't know. Maybe
Well,
I'll look up some
I
new
mean, I think
ideas.
I think it could be more of like on the obligation side of it, but if he expresses his faith through helping the poor or like go in a specific area or a specific charity or something, I think that is a very valid way of expressing that and something that could conflict or like give issue with the party because like if you guys are on your way to a score and you see some poor old, widower and kids getting kicked out of their apartment because they can't afford it, are you going to be like, well, I can't stand for that? So you're going to derail.
Yeah, yeah, that's kind of a
Also,
plan.
somebody said you don't work on Sundays, like in chat, but it's the like, like there's a limitation there, or like if the group's like, well, we could just frame, this charity, and you're like, no, we can't do, like, they're doing good work. We can't steal from
Hmm.
them, or we can't, like, it's a conflict, but it's not necessarily outside of like the main scope of the group. Because I don't think, I mean, you guys aren't necessarily like stealing candy for babies kind of a group anyway. So, like, that can work.
Yeah, I could also just randomly be like, wait, I know that guy. He's like, part of this other group of charity or whatever. Like, I
Right. And
can't
now we can't steal.
him.
Yeah. Yeah, we
Yeah.
can't screw him over.
Like you're asking me to kill someone and wait, I know that guy. I can't kill him. And maybe I do it and have to struggle with the result of, hurting
Right.
them.
Right. Someone in chat, mid score, he just peels off to go to mass.
I don't know about the math
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
We
I don't
have
know if
to
like
talk
that.
about a
We'll
little
figure it
bit
out.
of
Yeah, I know. I saw what you said, but
yeah.
it's kind of that idea, or like, like, oh well, this is it's like he's off his game because it's like a fasting day, or like some. I feel like everyone does fall fast every day because there's like no food, but like, like one of those
Yeah,
kind of things. Like, sorry, I can't today, or the much more
yeah.
orthodox, like not working on a set, like you're not even turning on light switches.
I gotta go to the
Um,
soup kitchen, dude. Like, bye
s-
bye.
right. So like there are those things. Um, I'm sorry, Chastity. I told you guys it had to be done by 7. I have to go. I have to go to the soup kitchen. Um, but yeah, like, and that's those kind of work. And yeah, it is the. And I think the other struggle is because if the crew is the main character sheet, you now have a whole bunch of people playing one PC essentially.
Hmm.
So you're collectively playing a PC. And actually, you know what? Might be the better way to think, at least our table parlance, to think about the crew or like the scoundrels is that they're the B team. Like to the crew sheet.
Mm-hmm.
Like you guys each give benefits to the crew when you're out running around, but the crew is the main thing. I don't know,
Mm.
as I said it, the analogy works less than I thought.
Yeah, because I think that's like a good way to identify that to get people to start thinking about it, but I don't know how the analogy would be carried through to actionable things.
Right.
We're more like the ability scores.
Yeah.
But that's still kind of
But
hard to like think about playing all the you know what I mean? Because it is like playing towards the score, playing towards what the group needs and wants. I just don't like my brain is having trouble like wrapping myself around how to do that with a bunch of people. And I know you guys well. It's not like I don't fucking know you. And it's yeah. I feel like if it was just me and my brother, we've known each other for forever, it would still be hard, but it maybe would be better. You know what I mean? Because I know all of his buttons, and we could just crime together. 'Cause I feel like we grew up criming together.
Well, and you also have shared like media touchstones and references, and like, so when you say, "Oh, we're gonna do a heist," you guys are probably thinking about this, like, I'm just gonna say Ocean's 11, or whatever. Whereas like all of us have
Yeah.
very different sort of backgrounds and very different references for things. So there's not, and again, there's not like one piece of media except for maybe Dishonored that this I can say go watch this, because I can say go watch Peaky Blinders if you're playing Hawkers, but there are no ghosts in Peaky Blinders. There's sun. There, like, you get the feel of the crew, but not the feel of the world.
Yeah.
As opposed to like Vidari, where we could legitimately be like, go watch Pirates of the Caribbean. Because that's basically, we were like, we want to be like, we're, on the scale of like Pirates of the Caribbean to Black Sails, like we're more on the Pirates of the Caribbean side. And we stuck with that.
Yeah, there was a bunch of crazy shit. Funny stuff happened. The crew was all crazy in like both senses of the word. um and the world was trying to kill us. And also the cops. You know what I mean? Like, or like other pirates.
God, I want to play UV again. Oh wait, was it UV? No, or was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Echoes of
Echoes, right?
Vidari.
Yeah.
Mhm. My brain misheard that as a video game.
Yeah, so did I. I
Uh,
was
and
like,
I was
I
like,
mean,
ah?
but yeah, but so like that's, and I think when it comes to like generic medieval fantasy, because we all play D&D, we know some about the source, like whether I wanted to read the Dritz novels or not, I did, even if it was rage reading. Like, but we're also surrounded by media addressing it. I mean, even like dumb stuff or like satire, like Monty Python, The Holy Grail. Like the archetypes are something that, at least for like me, growing up where I did in the US culturally at my age, is something that is second nature to me. Whereas like when we play tested Legend of the Five Rings, I was going like, I do not like, I was so out of my depth on like making things up because I don't get that in the same way.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it, in some ways, Duskwall is a little bit easier for me because I'm a big like Victorian England nerd. Like that's just like 1880s are like my thing, and I know Aversive Tactics is the same way. But it's easier in that regard. But then it's the ghosts
Yeah.
and the weird stuff, and the like, there are differences. And again, it's the, I can't just put Lord of the Rings on in the background to like settle the vibe in my head.
Yeah.
And I think that can be an issue.
It makes sense because every crew theoretically can be like vastly different from another, even if it's the same score type or like same thing that they're going after, or how you go about it, and like what you have at your disposal, that kind of thing. Like it, because it all changes it slightly. Because it could be very Ocean's 11, and that could work theoretically. Like maybe you don't really get into the ghost stuff. Maybe it's just sort of like set dressing. But then there's other things where it's like, no, we wanted the weird. We were all like, let's weird it up. Weird sounds great. Um, and so maybe that was also like a collective misstep where we were all like, yeah,
Yeah, I did, because I did
lean into the
initially
creep.
think about saying like no cults for that reason, because it's hard mode in a way, because there's so very little. I mean, when Noble was asking about religion stuff, like I sent him literally everything in the book about religion, and it was like 3 screenshots. So you're making up so much stuff with being a cult or doing the religion unless you're pulling from something like Cthulhu mythos or whatever, which would be great for some of the players here, but would be hard for me because I don't know it. But the more you entertain the ghosts and the weird stuff, I think it is more of a hard mode because there is more of the like, because that was part of the thing with Wing where it's like, okay, like your vice is weird, like what does that look like? Because
hmm
the description you had is the description I have.
Yeah.
And yeah, so like I think if it were less, and again, like I've looked for, hey, does somebody have more information? They don't. Um, I don't know if you were here, Scott, going over that. Like pretty much the supportive community, unlike the Curse of Strahd or what it sounds like Season of Ghosts, where it's let's expand on this or like here's more lore here. In Blades, it's like here's 1,000 different playbooks of types of scoundrels you could play, or here's 1,000 different score ideas. And from my perspective, I don't need more score ideas. Like that, I got that. But having like, here's a guide to this particular neighborhood, or even something to just give you guys as a example, like there's, yeah, that's missing to me.
Yeah.
And I guess I kind of want to pivot just a little bit because I don't want it to be like, oh my god, I hate this and I hate how we're playing and how dare you guys. Because that's not what I'm saying. I've been having fun. This is fun. And I think it's been clicking for us, but I think it's a downside of the system because some of this stuff is not as explicit as it could be. And admittedly, I have not watched the like 2 hour long interviews with John Harper, but I also don't think like you should have to watch a 2 hour interview with somebody in order to play their TTRPG. And I stand by my belief that this was not play tested by anyone who wasn't already familiar with it to begin with. Like from like the uh uh Google Plus like community thing or whatever else. And
Mm-hmm.
they already knew, like they were operating on meta knowledge that like we don't have. Whereas to me, like the best way to test a system is to like find some people who know nothing about it, give it to them, and say nothing. Like, can they run it off your rule book?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think Blades can run just off this rule book without literally using the entire thing as guidelines rather than a rule system. And this was a comment I wanted to kind of in some ways save until Scott was here because I know he's the mechanics guy. Um,
Uh, yeah, yeah, I have similar opinions. There's a lot of stuff and it works well together, but there's definitely the like it needs stronger how to play the game, like how is it played. Um, I mean, I do have some thoughts on some mechanics, but that's
well, I
just
mean, that's
me.
part of what
Like,
we're here to do. But I mean, if we want to keep talking conceptually for right now, we can. But
uh, like, yeah, admittedly, like, it's hard to like I'd have to need like time to actually think and I could put together my dissertation on the game
yeah,
mechanics, but like in the moment, like how like obviously the game really wants you to do certain things, and the character sheets, of course, express this through like these is how you get your XP or advancement or whatever the hell it's called in the system again. Um, but it definitely like this had to come up earlier, but like some of them are a bit easier to integrate, and I'm sure that when you have a group of improv players, it's super duper easy comparatively. Um, but yeah, it's I don't know. There's not like all the mechanics are kind of designed to create like there's stress on what are your choices. There is a resource, like that's the whole point of the game. The entire game is how do you expend your resources and how do you mitigate problems. It does a pretty good job with that when you think about downtime of like, oh, what do you want to spend your downtime on? Are we trying to improve our characters or are we trying to reduce, fix all the problems that we suffered from our consequences? Which that part is all good. But then you get into the issue where you don't feel like you're progressing if you're fixing a lot of problems that have happened, and maybe that's the intent, but it is like it all ties into each other, and so it's kind of one of those like once I start pulling on threads, I'm going to start picking apart every single part of it. Except for the pure dice mechanics, I kind of like the way that that's set up with the dice pools and the sixes are good, fours and fives are partial successes. That's a pretty good part of it, but there's more subjectivity to it than other games, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, and one of the issues I have is that, and where it kind of can fall into the Mother May I and like inconsistent GMing, is that because a lot of it's really open, it's hard for me to, or for me to feel like I'm being consistent in the feedback I'm giving you guys because it's so circumstantial that
Oh yeah.
there can be stress on me for that. Because I know that's like, when you look up like the issues people have with Mother May I, like that's a big one. Is how do it's like I feel like it's just whatever the GM wants. It's the RPG horror stories thing, whatever the GM wants at the time. But I'm kind of like that, and this might be on me because it's the way I'm interpreting. But the way I'm seeing some of these rules is that that's what I'm supposed to be doing. It is like it's not, but it is. Also, I just scratched my own leg with my fingernail.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Or something, or maybe
Yeah.
that was from earlier. I don't know, but it hurts. So yeah, like okay, I'm being called out by chat, especially people are perfectionists. Yeah. I hear it.
I'm the same
Yeah, I
way,
know.
so I get you.
Led to filth by my own chat. But
Ah ha
yeah,
ha.
like it's not like you guys don't do it all the time. But like yeah, it but it lends a feeling of uncertainty to it and can also help it not help when people are like, well, I don't want to sound dumb, or like this might be a dumb idea or something, because like sometimes like you are going to be told no.
Yeah.
Because I think this is very much a game that is not yes and, it's no but by
Oh.
design.
Okay. Yeah.
Because there is a bit about like failing forward, and like you'd said, like some of the best stuff comes from failure, like wing falling through the ceiling, or whatever. That
Yeah.
that's the no but, because it's, can we sneak out of the precinct without alerting the group? That the dice said no, but you can still get out. Tell me how you get out.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But that is a very different experience as a player being on that end of it, because you're getting the no.
Yeah. And that can be hard, and it's something that you have to work with while playing D&D. Like that's another thing to like deal with, because like I don't know about everybody else, but like I'm not all the way there. I got bits of me that are like, for all intents and purpose, a little bit broken, or like not quite functioning. And so being told no when you're trying to be creative can also like hit you in a button when you're just like, okay, I'm done now. I've been told
Mhm.
no. I'm gonna go in my corner and cry, or whatever the else. So like no is, I think, its own thing that it has to that everybody has to be able to deal with in some fashion. if that makes any sense.
No, yeah, that absolutely does. And I think it's a yeah, it's definitely a thing. And it's definitely something to keep in mind, and it's definitely a different way of playing. That can can just take some getting used to, which is fine. Um so yeah, anything else we have thoughts about blades, anything maybe, we like about blades.
I like trains.
Yes, we know you like trains.
Uh, I did really like that first episode where we were trying to figure it out, even though there were some like hiccups and like where we were all like circling the drain a little bit. But it was eventually very fun because once we hit where we were going, we were all like, "Yeah, full speed ahead, yeehaw!" Um, and so I think in favor of Blades, when it gets going, it gets good.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So it's just like keeping it going.
Mhm.
And we're roughly, so like I had said like 10 to 12 sessions, and I wasn't necessarily sure if I was going to count like the, our sort of session 0, but I do believe I counted that like as an episode in my numbering, I think. So we're halfway at this point. So it's not like we're like we can apply what we've learned, which was why I was like, this is actually a decent time to do this conversation because we're halfway through.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would also like to take this time because I realized I forgot to turn back on my like automated Nightbot timer command. So I'm going to drop this into chat again. All the amazing
Ooh.
PC and GM images used in the stream were created by Nopal, who plays Firebox. Want some art of your own? Send a message to NopalBaboso729 on Discord. Because we love him. And his art's amazing.
Yay!
He's so good.
Yes.
That's
I mean,
what
it's
they
a
said.
fact.
Yeah.
What more do I need to elaborate on? It is fact.
Mm.
Yeah, it's like 2M human.
I have said that on a couple of occasions. Currently, I am about 3/4 robot, I believe, based off of current interests.
Mm.
Current interest being cyberpunk.
Yeah.
Hmm. We am almost done with this.
Yay.
That's a
Yay.
very big tiger head.
Yeah, sorry, part of it is I snuck away from my desktop briefly, and so it's noisy in the background, so I couldn't unmute again. Carry on.
Ah. Ba, 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 da. I don't know, I panic sometimes. I'm like, eh.
I was okay during the like learning Canvas stream. I had heard noises in the background that I thought Remy was doing a thing. Remy being my dog, not for people in Crash's server where there's like a player named Remy, which is always confusing when I'm like, Remy, stop licking your butt. But I thought he was doing a thing, and so like I had to run away, and I was like, all right, Cody, just entertain the viewers. And then took off my headset and ran. And I don't think he appreciated that.
Poor Cody. Poor buddy.
He did great though. Also, that was definitely a cut on my leg because I just put antiseptic on it, and man, that hurts. All right.
Why, if you thought it was a cut, did you put antiseptic on it?
Because it's a cut?
I guess so.
Because
But,
it's
like,
like
if you...
it's on my calf, so it's like when I sit in chairs it rubs
Oh.
on things. So it's like until I get a
Oh, yeah.
bandage on it, I'm
No
rubbing it on
germies.
germs. But
Very
yeah.
germs.
But yeah, no, that is also like cross promotion is a thing. On it should be going live here soon on the Broke&Nerdy YouTube channel is the Learn Canva, where I teach Cody how to make a newspaper, make the Boston Globe actually. Um, Fun times. Even though I realized the best template to use for it was very politically charged, and I was like, this is awkward, but like it's the best one we got. So yeah, that's a thing. But yeah, I am excited about continuing Blades. I am excited about continuing Blades after this conversation
Mm-hmm.
because I've gotten some more insight. And I guess this isn't the like now is your time to roast me, but what can I do to help facilitate some more of what kind of like implementing what we've learned here or kind of talked about? Because I do have my ideas, but just because I think it'll be useful doesn't mean it will be.
Mm.
Crafting.
What'd you say?
We need to fix up the crafting.
Yeah, crafting. Which we can actually pull up and look at here, like, in a minute if you want. I didn't necessarily want to go into it while you were, like, drawing and stuff.
Fair.
That question was so weird my brain couldn't process it. I'm real sorry. I'm trying. I was just like, words.
I
Because I
think it was
caught
a bit long.
Yeah, it was a
It
bit long.
was...
How do I help you guys enjoy Blades better or do Blades better?
Honestly, taking care of yourself, so you're not stressed,
Okay,
is great.
noted.
Yeah, you said don't call me out, but like,
No,
I'm the same
that's
person
fine. But
on and
like,
off
I
camera.
have not like I am much less stressed about it. Like I was stressed in the very beginning, but I let a lot of that go. So like when I'm saying like this
Yeah,
is frustrating or I have a hard time with this, I am not stressed about it in
yeah,
the sense of it's giving me anxiety. It's the like this is annoying or like how do I do this better?
yeah, yeah, and that's good. But it is important to remind your GMs, all your GMs, that they can take care of themselves. That's good. That they're people too. That they're players too. Because I think this system definitely leads more to the GM being one of the players in like a very anti your GM is an antagonist sort of way.
I
Like they might
disagree.
be saying, yeah,
I
because you
absolutely
have to say
disagree.
no.
No, but because if you read the GM best practices, it is 100% give the players what they want.
Oh, shut the fuck up and sit down.
Hmm.
Well,
Yeah.
players don't know what they want.
Right,
So.
but I'm saying like the GM best practices are like how to lead your players to, and I mean I can read it out right now, but it's how to lead your players to what they want and achieve, like because like I said, it came out very much at the like anti-Grognard time of the DM is there to be your self-fulfillment Pez dispenser that I have a big issue with just in TTRPG space in general because
Yeah.
I like why do you think there are so few people who want to GM? Like this isn't helping. We don't need more
Yeah.
players in the hobby. We need more GMs in the hobby. Like ultimately. Um
Yeah. I guess then that's my takeaway from a lot of this is that maybe the GM should be treated more like a player because like yeah, because That's always uncomfortable to me. I GM sometimes, so I hate feeling like the GM is not in on the fun or not having the fun or
See,
not considered in the fun.
yeah, no, I mean, and that's fair. See, I haven't been running that way. I've been having fun. Like, I don't, like, I get in general with blades that being a thing, but that's also not a thing, like, for me. And it's also the whole, like, I don't have a problem telling people no. Like, maybe, like, it might not be visible in the stream to, like, audience members, but, like, people in my home game and other places know that I say no.
All the
Um,
time.
right. And, like, I protect my space on stuff like that. So, like, that's not the thing, but that's why I'm asking. And I guess specifically, um, because, okay, Nopal said crafting, which agreed. Scott and Christopher.
Hmm?
Anything I can do to help facilitate better Blades playing for you guys? I'm not saying you're doing bad. I'm saying, in what we've been talking about.
Hmm. I don't know. That's for me. That's tricky.
The only thing I can think of is try not to let us or let yourself go a little too big on the scope. Like how we narrowed back down from, oh, we're gonna raid the fucking rail station. Well, not really. Sneak in and steal something and then go
Okay,
get some information from this single uh, police station.
I definitely just had an audio glitch when this happened. And as people can see from watching the stream, because everything just refreshed, and it was the worst possible timing because you started talking. I can go back and listen to the stream, though.
No, it is okay. Basically, make sure that we don't go too big, and maybe you also don't go too big on the scope of what we might attempt to take on. Is like versus Gadok Rail Station versus the police station.
That's fair. The thing is, though, is like part of the system is rewarding you guys for doing, like, it's the like risk reward situation
Mm-hmm.
where like that is kind of built in. But if like for this game, but like, cause see, like, so here's, I agree, but there's also the counter to it, which is I need you guys to like come up with scores of your own or things to do or things to
Mm-hmm.
implement what you're doing, because I'm kind of presenting like these are the things that are out there, this is what's happening. But
Yeah.
there's also the, okay, well maybe we don't get like this one specific box, but like, we go do the dream floss, or like, okay, people want things smuggled in from outside and they want this, so now we're gonna do that. Like, can we look up some other things? So like, I'm not shutting you down on that, because like I agree, because I gave you, like I said that in the beginning, like I gave you like big things. But it is also the like, if I do small things and it's kind of the railroad, then like we need to stay on the railroad. Or like you guys give me an idea, because I'll be like, what do you guys want to smuggle? I don't know, ghost stuff. So I have to
Yeah.
make up ghost stuff. And it's the like, I have a much better idea now, like what you guys want to do. So
Ooh,
like I didn't. Oh, oof.
yeah, I'm tired.
Oh yeah. I mean, we have been going. You'll be at 2 hours here in a minute. I feel like that'd be a good stopping point. But I was just gonna throw out like, some of it is the players being proactive and that like that Mother May I situation. And if like, if it would help you guys, like I think this might be the way to phrase it, Christopher, or like for it to work with my head is that if it's the like you guys have kind of the safety net of like I'm not going to let you guys like go completely in over your heads without realizing it.
Okay. Yeah.
Like with that, like is that what will work?
Yeah. Definitely.
Okay. Because again, it's the like I'm definitely trying to be like you guys tell me what you want to do. There's going to be a whole lot of information coming at you guys at the beginning of the next session from the fallout from like the score you guys just did.
Mhm.
Um and then it's going to be okay, what are you guys going to do about that? And if it would help, I can put it in a doc and try to get to you guys ahead of time. But it is also one of those if I'm gonna write it, y'all better read it.
Yeah.
Um, to where I don't like have to then like go over it again. Um, so yeah, that's a thing. But we can talk about that like off the thing. But yeah, there being some meta guidance from me on like, okay, here is essentially revealing the CRs of things to put it in like Pathfinder D&D perspective.
Yeah.
What about you?
Fair.
What about you, Scott? You got something?
Offhand, not particularly. Again, I'm kind of like a little today, so I don't know. Not.
But yeah, so definitely we'll work on the crafting thing. We'll work on stuff like that. Um, but yeah, so I mean, overall, this is probably gonna be unfair to everybody. Overall, I'm gonna say out of 10, where are you gonna put Blades?
And
All right.
no, 11.
Okay.
Wait, what are we ranking blades as what?
Out of 10, like what would you give it score?
For what though? Like what are we grading it on? Like or as?
Well, this is why I said it's an unfair question in general. All right, like
Well, are you talking about the game so far? Are you talking about the system? Are you talking like what are we grading?
the game so far and the system. You can do two. There we go. Game so far and system.
Oh, me, I think the system's a 3 at best, if I'm
Okay.
being completely
Fair,
honest.
fair.
The game, I am enjoying it. I would put it at a solid 7, and I think that's more just dynamics aren't working as well as they could. Otherwise, it'd be a 3 as well.
Game so far 6 to 7. System itself 4 to 5.
Okay.
I haven't played that much.
Fair. Noble, would you change your like 10 or 11 splitting it
No,
up that way, or is it 10, 11 for both?
for both. 11 for both.
All right.
12 for both.
He's just gonna keep going.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and I mean to be fair, like the first time we tried out, like, because I remember the first time like we all kind of switched over to Pathfinder, it was like what, or like the first session of Legend of the Five Ring, like when we were trying a whole bunch of systems, like there were definitely growing
Yeah.
pains. So I feel like this is one of those we're in the growing pains of it. I think we're doing fun stuff, and I think it can't be fun. Um, and I'm really enjoying it. But anyway, because yeah, we're getting close to 2 hours. I feel like this is good for us just yapping.
Yeppening.
I'm gonna say thanks everyone for watching. Thanks chat. We should be back next week with an episode. Then we will be off a week. Um, and then should be back on. So obviously there will be notifications. I will try to make it clear what's happening when. We did not have a break, so I didn't do my usual scroll for things, so that's going to be the end scroll, even though it says while we're taking a break. We're not taking a break. We're leaving. I just don't have multiple versions of it. But thank you all very much. don't know if anybody else wants to say goodbye.
Goodbye.
I can always count on some weird noise happening, and I love it. Bye, everybody.